Today marks 30 years since the South African Communist Party leader Chris Hani was assassinated. His killer, Janusz Walus, was jailed in 1993 and released on parole late last year. But Hani's family believe they have never heard the full story of why he was killed and who was involved beyond Walus and right-wing politician Clive Derby-Lewis, who served time for organising the hit. I'm joined now by Naboliti Themba Hani, a cousin of Chris Hani. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to us. We understand this must always be a very difficult day for you and the Hani family. Our condolences. Can you tell us how different it's been with the knowledge that his killer is now out of prison serving parole?
Yeah, good evening to ENCA, the viewers in South Africa. It certainly is always a painful milestone every year to commemorate the demise of Themba. It always gives us very painful as we are always in the dark. And I must just praise the steadfastness of our Dimpo in his zeal to explore all the avenues to search for the truth. And indeed, even today, she did a fairly good work. And we can't but share the same sentiments as the family, as our Dimpo. It definitely is a painful thing towards him to lose a person, and that we always come to zero.
Tell us a little bit about the questions that still remain unanswered in this matter for the Hani family.
The question is always deeper for us. The question to me, to us, is who planned the hit? Why was it planned? When was it planned? Is it only that Lewis and Janusz Walus who were involved? And certainly it gives us a sense that there's more to it than meets the eyes. There are more people involved in and outside the country, and we cannot, and therefore, if those people or some of them are still alive, definitely we are not going to find the truth. These are the painful questions. The more we're not getting answers, the more we ask questions, the more we arrive at certain tentative conclusions about the state of affairs. And we hope that some of his comrades are not involved. That's what we're praying for.
So we understand that a number of organisations and parties are calling for a fresh inquest. How would you feel? Because on the one hand, to have those unanswered questions answered would provide a certain measure of closure, if not relief, for the Hani family. But it might also be very painful to unearth, a lot of the memories and some of the deeper, darker secrets around the assassination. How would you, as the family, feel about that?
Certainly, we certainly would welcome such an opportunity for the inquiry, for investigation, to be reopened. Indeed, one feels perhaps South Africa should not have gone for a petty thing like removing the death sentence. Perhaps we would not be where we are if we could have had the death sentence on those who have killed Chris. Perhaps any other person who takes the life of anybody else, takes a person's rights. So for sure, would by all means support the reopening of the trial, and so that we may know the truth. Still, best as we know that people were killed cold-heartedly in Johannesburg prisons, in Johannesburg police stations. Their trials have been reopened, and indeed, why not Chris? He deserves the best among the people whose life were taken callously, as the case has been.
30 years is a very long time, and there are many young South Africans who were born after 1993 who, may not understand fully the significance of the role that Chris Hani played in South African politics, whether they learn about him in school or not. And you're in the perfect position to remind us not only of his legacy for the Hani family, but for South Africa at large. Just tell us a little bit more about what you believe the true legacy of Chris Hani was.
Yeah, if we perhaps would link the legacy of Chris Hani, would link it to his bravery as a young boy, under 10 years, growing up, being a herder and a hunter in the in Sabalele, in the late 40s and early 50s. His ability to mastermind his father's exile was central. People do not know that central to his father's exiting South Africa in April 1962. Chris was very central in organizing the modus operandi of having his father leaving Langa, special quarters to Sea Point, where he and the late Tatumpa Mpemba, they were loaded on a van, driving throughout the night to Bloemfontein, and then from Bloemfontein to Lesotho. His bravery thereafter to go to the bus station, to the Cape Town station, to watch the bus putting in people into trains. Those people were banished, including my father, and he was very brave. I'm just demonstrating. So people have lost a sense, a person. And with a sense of bravery, with a sense of purpose, with the ability to maneuver, to plan, to think. And perhaps South Africa would have been better with Chris. I'm saying that because I've experienced living with him. They have a person who cares, who loves, a human who would not kill even a fly under civilian conditions, underlying civilian conditions, not military conditions. So we not only as a family, as a country, we have lost. We have even lost at the level of principle and moral and ethics, because Chris was ethical. And even if you are his brother, you had to towards him, convince him that you're doing things in an ethical manner. He would correct you as well, you see. So that's the kind of person that they have taken. And a little do we know that he got his. Some people think that his awareness of communist philosophy started within the party. It started at home with one of our grandfathers who was a member of our trade union in Stellenbosch called Milton Hani. You see, this is one of the person who honed and influenced Chris to be steadfast, to be moral, to be ethical, and to believe in how things must be in South Africa. Because he could have noticed as early as then, in the late 50s and the early 60s, that things in South Africa are not normal.
Thank you so much for sharing some of your memories and your insights into Chris Hani with us. As we remember today, a man who was assassinated 30 years ago, forever changing the landscape of South African politics. And